Austin.
Each time it's just about the same, just all of it, just horrid.
The family of a murdered black man starts a third trial of his alleged killer.
And you'll find out what's making these Austinites so angry. But first, we have the end of a strange encounter between an Austin star and Austin police. Good evening, I'm Neil Spells.
I'm Christy Fletcher. Within the last couple of hours, the Travis County Attorney's Office announced that Matthew McConaughey pleaded no contest to a noise violation. Now, last month, Austin police arrested McConaughey in his home. They originally accused him of drug possession, but only charged him with resisting transport. Today, the county attorney says McConaughey will pay a $50 fine for a noise violation. In return, prosecutors agree not to go after any other charges.
Testimony has finally started in the third Jasper dragging death trial. Earlier today, the judge in the case refused to move the case out of Jasper. Sean Berry is charged with the June 1998 death of James Byrd. An acquaintance of Berry and a police officer began the testimony. And also late today, CBS News surrendered the transcript of an interview with Berry that ends a dispute that threatened to land producer Mary Mapes in jail. Prosecutors wanted transcripts from the interview on 60 Minutes 2, which you saw here on KEYE, to compare with Berry's other statements. Well, CBS has now put the transcripts on its website, and you can get to it by logging on to the KEYE site at KEYE.com. And we have new information this evening about the case against a Central Texas boss charged with killing his employee. And you may remember Helen Frost was found murdered in a southeast Travis County field last month. And yesterday, police charged David Lauer with her murder. He's been in jail on an alleged parole violation for 3 weeks. Well, the police arrest warrant shows 2 of Lauer's neighbors saw Frost with him on the day she disappeared. It also shows an inmate imprisoned with Lauer says he told him, quote, "I didn't mean to kill her." Lauer's family is standing behind him.
And just by knowing him, I don't think he could do anything, this serious, I don't think he could do anything to harm anyone, much less something like this.
A Travis County grand jury is still considering an indictment against Lauer.
A former Austin police officer is defending himself against strong accusations tonight. He's charged with abusing his power. KEYE's Pamela Cathian shows you who thinks that charge should be rape.
An Austin woman claims former police officer Samuel Ramirez forced her to perform oral sex in her home last June. Tuesday, Ramirez started the court process with a hearing.
9 being the handwritten, typewritten notes off.
Officer Samuel Ramirez is charged with official oppression. The charge is a Class A misdemeanor that applies when a public servant commits an offense in his official capacity. After his hearing, Ramirez didn't want to talk on camera, but protesters outside the courthouse had plenty to say about the charge against him.
I believe that because he is a police officer that he was getting special privileges. I mean, what is official oppression? That is not rape. This was aggravated rape.
The police department suspended Ramirez indefinitely from the police force in May. While protesters here are pleased with that, they still claim Ramirez faces an easy penalty for a harsh crime.
APD officers are not above the law.
With an eye on Austin, I'm Pamela Cathian.
All right, now, if Ramirez is convicted, he faces up to 1 year in jail and a fine of up to $4,000.
This fight at a high school football game in Illinois got some students expelled for 2 years until the Reverend Jesse Jackson stepped in, and he got the Decatur, Illinois School Board to reduce the punishment to alternative education. Well, KEYE's Eddie Flores shows you what an alternative school means in Round Rock.
Up, 1, up, 2, up.
Welcome to what students call The Rock. It's the Round Rock Opportunity Center where students end up after they get into trouble. Students like 9th grader Elmer Mock.
People had told me he was making fun of me and all this stuff, so I went up to him and I confronted him about it, but I pushed him.
But according to Mock, the other student told teachers...
I ran up and punched him in the face.
So Mock claims a lie landed him 35 days at The Rock.
I didn't deserve what I got for it. All this, just because he lied on me. Schools have to be strict about it on some level, but on some levels it's just ridiculous, because they really don't take both sides of it.
According to the principal here, not many students are sent to this facility for fighting. Most are here for persistent misbehavior at school. The principal says that's because the word is out on campuses that any kind of violent act these days will land you big trouble.
Students in our district, I guess they found out that if they touch someone else, then they may come to the alternative school, so I guess they're thinking twice before they're coming.
Mock says he just wants to do his 35 days and never come back.
It's not worth it. Just to get back at somebody, it's not worth ending up in an opportunity center, maybe even worse, going to jail.
With your eye on school violence, I'm Eddie Flores.
Now, according to a school administrator in Decatur, Illinois, students are usually given 3-day suspensions for fighting, but Texas law mandates all disruptive students or students who commit felonies must be placed in an alternative setting.
Well, this is what greeted Austin travelers earlier this morning. And you know, in the past, just a little bit of fog would shut down arriving flights at Robert Miller Airport, but not anymore. KEYE's Dan Robertson joins us live from Austin Bergstrom International with some news from there about fog. Dan, what's so special about this?
Well, Christy, this new airport has a state-of-the-art system that allows airplanes to fly right through the fog without too much trouble at all. In fact, let's take a look at how this new technology cuts through fog like a high-tech knife. You're looking at Austin Bergstrom International Airport under a thick blanket of fog. Fog that would have shut down the old airport. But ABIA kept flying Wednesday with the help of a new low-visibility landing system. It's a system of intense runway lights and advanced flight electronics that let the pilot sit back as the plane lands itself.
It'll come down to what we call the final approach fix, which is about 5.5 miles out. Then from there, it's on autopilot, and it flies all the way down to the runway and even auto lands. They're not even allowed to hand fly it. It has to be automatically flown with the autopilot.
This low visibility landing system is state-of-the-art, and only 3 airports in Texas have it: Dallas, Houston, and here at Austin Bergstrom. At the Miller Airport, planes weren't allowed to land unless the pilots could see for 1,800 feet. This new system requires only 1/3 of that distance, and that means fewer delays for travelers. Once the planes land, pilots, not computers, drive the plane to the gate.
That's kind of tense when you tell an airplane to report clear and they don't, and you have one that's as close as this one is. They need to give us those reports because that's the only thing we can go by. We can't see them.
So even if you can't see the runway, your airplane can. Now, most commercial airliners are equipped with this new technology that allows them to land in dense fog. But until now, Austin never had the ground-level equipment to help fly the planes in. Last week here at the new airport, though, was the first time that they really had an operational test of the equipment with the dense fog that we had last week and here in the last couple of days. Christy?
Dan, a quick question before you go. Do private planes have any safeguards like this?
Some of the newer high-end private planes, the multi-million-dollar planes have this, but most of the small private airplanes do not. And it also takes special training and certification by the pilot and the airplane, and of course you have to have the right equipment on the ground.
Interesting. All right, thanks for the update, Dan.
The international architectural firm that produced the OBJ Library will design Austin's new Performing Arts Center. Skidmore, Owings & Merrill will design the transformation of Palmer Auditorium into what was called an architectural jewel of a world-class performing arts venue. Located on the downtown shores of Town Lake, the facility will be the home of Austin's opera, symphony, and ballet. Texas taxpayers saved more than $32 million 3 months ago during the state's first sales tax holiday. State Controller Carol Keaton-Rylander says she'll recommend that even more items be included in future sales tax holidays. During the August sales tax holiday, no state, no local sales taxes were charged on most clothing and footwear priced under $100.
The battle over Capital Metro in Williamson County heats up tonight. Leander is considering pulling out of the bus system. Now, Cap Metro opponents say residents are paying too much money for the small number of people who actually ride the bus. That public hearing begins at 6:30 tonight at the Leander City Hall at 200 West Willis.
2 serious head injuries within 8 days will keep Cowboy star Troy Aikman on the sidelines, but how long? Andy Lascano is going to take a look at that debate.
And how an army of volunteers is winning a war in an Austin school. We'll explain that up next.
This is CBS. KEYE-42, your eye on Austin. And you're watching KEYEwitness News at 6 with Neil Speltz, Christy Fletcher, meteorologist Cliff Morrison, and Andy Lascano Sports.
You know, know, when we look for ways to improve education, we often talk about standardized tests or computers in the classroom or simply more money.
That's right, but one Austin school has turned its sagging test scores around with people power. More than 200 volunteers, to be exact. KEYE's Kimberly Ball shows you.
You know what that word is? Joanne Graham is a retired school teacher. 2 daughters leaving home left her bored.
So this is a great opportunity for me to get back into a classroom situation and a one-on-one with a child.
Everybody out. Good job.
Graham is one of 60 people who come to Zavala Elementary every day to volunteer for HOST. HOST stands for Help One Student to Succeed. One adult reads with one child for 30 minutes. It's paying off.
Zavala Elementary is located between 2 housing projects, and the economic disadvantage helped contribute to the low-performing status of the TOS test scores here. But HOST came along 6 years ago and helped raise those scores to acceptable and recognized.
Right. It's no easy task getting enough volunteers for every student. HOST teacher Brian Beaverstock recruits heavily at churches, universities, and other volunteer organizations.
I bring pictures of students from Zavala. I bring some letters that they write.
And Graham has seen dramatic improvement with the kids she helps.
She helps me with hard words.
As long as kids need help reading, Graham says she'll continue to be a HOST volunteer. With your eye on volunteers, I'm Kimberly Ball.
Now, any person who can read can be a HOST tutor if you go through a short training program. By the way, only 3 Austin schools, Walnut Creek, Sims, and Zavala, have the HOSTS program.
When KEYEwitness News returns, what are the skies going to do during your weekend? I'll have the weekend forecast, all part of my exclusive 7-day outlook, just around the corner. I'm meteorologist Cliff Morrison. Weather's next. Hello out there. That's a tough one. It was down, the fog visibility was down to less than a mile today, and I dare say the same thing's probably going to happen tomorrow. I want to thank weather watchers today. Donna from Oatmeal got up to 81 up there. And Keith Kreitzer from McKinney Springs, 77 the high out there, McKinney Falls it is. You know what we have, I got to tell you, if you check the old computer here, it's not a big change. Morning fog again tomorrow. We have warmer days. You'll see it in the 7-day forecast and no chance of rain. As you look throughout the southeast, there's nothing there. The northeast had a little bit of rain today. There's a little bit of cloud cover. This is sort of a combination of moisture from the Gulf and also a little bit from the Pacific there, just over us, and that is what's causing the fog. If we had a little more jiggle in the atmosphere, if we had some dynamics that could squeeze some of the moisture out, we'd have rain, but we don't have that. So what we have is fog, low clouds, and tomorrow those low clouds will give way to some sunshine by about mid-morning or so in the afternoon. Damp weather will move from the northwest. Take a look at this. Another rainy day for them. And all of these systems, every system that's coming off the Pacific is generally going from west to east and not touching us much at all. The 70s that were up in Chicago and even up into Pennsylvania are going to be changing into 50s and 40s for the next couple of days. We will stay in the 70s and close to 80 degrees for the next couple of days. So it's 74 right now and a beautiful evening, variable conditions, variable breezes here at 3. The barometer is steady. High temperature today at Bergstrom, 80 degrees, low temperature 48. High temperature at Mabry, 79, low temperature 58 degrees. Mold's the only thing showing up today. So I told you that ragweed would fall off, and today it did, thank goodness. Whole state full of 70s. And clouds, as I say, moving in from the west. And it'll be clouding up again tonight as we get some more of that marine layer moving in, and it'll be cloudy. 46 for Grit. Kane City in the 40s as well, and it will be closer to about 50, 57 degrees around here. And we'll be back up into the upper 70s and the low 80s again for tomorrow with easterly breezes. It'll be moist out there. It feels balmy. It's November. It's not really.
It sounds downright tropical.
So anyway, with 70s, increasing clouds, overnight low 57 with low clouds, and tomorrow morning, even lower clouds. With some,
with inflection. Clouds with inflection.
Clouds mixed with sunshine, certainly by mid-morning in the afternoon with a high of 80. The overnight low tomorrow night, 58. And here is the 7-day forecast. We have really no chance of rain. A little front moving through on Sunday and Monday with little consequence.
Just cool it off a little bit. That's
what is not a little consequence is a tornado. The average lifespan of a tornado, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 25 minutes. Right?
Average is a key word. What,
yes, average is the key word. About 15 minutes
15.
is what the National Weather Service says.
Too long.
Yeah, boy, a lot of damage can happen in that 15 minutes, as history has told us.
Thanks a lot, Cliff.
All right.
Yeah, coming up, the future of Troy Aikman.
and how the Cowboys will deal with it. Andy Lascano, Sports is next.
This KEYEwitness News weather segment is sponsored by the Texas Renaissance Festival, now open weekends through November 14th.
Andy Lascano here. You know, concussions are serious. Steve Young.
It seems to be happening a lot this year, and to the same people.
Well, yeah, and then it happens frequently, like it's happened to Aikman. And then you have to think about it. I mean, how much is it worth staying in the game and then not being well for the rest of your life? But he's not okay. Troy Aikman. He's not going to play Sunday against Green Bay, and maybe longer. He took some tests today. They were negative, but he hadn't been okay since he got hit hard in the Indianapolis game. And he realized it's not something to be taken lightly. Former Cowboy great Roger Staubach retired because of repeated concussions, but Aikman says retirement's not an option right now. Caution and rest, yes, not retirement.
Well, I think that's premature. You know, for those discussions at this time, you know, retirement is not a consideration. It's not something that I'm thinking about or even weighing as an option right now. You know, I feel that in time I'll be fine and be able to resume playing, and I anticipate that that will happen very soon.
All right, today is National Letter of Intent Day. What that means is it's the first day that high school seniors who play winter and spring sports like basketball and baseball can sign a binding letter of intent with the college of their choice. Texas men's basketball coach Rick Barnes has recruited one of the top 5 classes in the country. Among his recruits, 3 of the top 100 players in the country. 6'9", Brian Boddicker of Texas high school powerhouse Duncanville, 6'10", Jason Klotz from Klein Forest, and 6'5", Brandon Mouton of Lafayette, Louisiana. Also in this class, James Thomas, a power forward from New York, and Freddie Williams, a junior college transfer who plays point guard. But getting big was a priority for Barnes and his staff.
Right now with Chris Mim and Gabe, I mean, we know we're losing Gabe after this year, and so that would leave us right now in our program with 2 post players. And so we knew that, and the first need that we had to address was that we had to go get some frontline players. When I say frontline, I'm talking guys that can play 3, 4, and 5.
Texas baseball coach Augie Garrido also recruited one of the top classes in the country. Scott Hurd, catcher from Southern California, rated the top high school prospect in the country, signed with the Longhorns. Vincent Sinisi, first baseman and outfielder from the Woodlands, did too. He's considered among the top prospects in Texas by some. Of course, you know, when you sign the top high school baseball players in November, it doesn't guarantee that they'll ever play for you. Because if they're top prospects, they'll be drafted next June in the Major League Draft and offered a lot of money, and the kids generally take the money.
They'll understand the value of spending 3 years of their life at the university rather than in the lower minor leagues, and they're going to sign. They're all going to get their bonuses. And just give us 3 years of your time and efforts, and you'll be a Longhorn for life.
Now, there's some examples of top recruits who signed with Texas, never played for the Longhorns because they took the major league money. And this is just over the last couple of years. Darnell McDonald, Vernon Wells, Matt Belisle, and Ryan Langahans. But there are some guys who sign and play. Roger Clemens, ring a bell to you there? Now, remember the guy who punched Flozell Adams of the Cowboys beneath the belt? Right. Dwayne Clemens, Minnesota Vikings, fined today $7,500.
Oh, okay.
For a cheap shot. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Now, in case you just joined us, the CBS Evening News reported a preliminary analysis of Egypt Air's flight data recorder shows the plane was on a controlled descent, not spiraling out of control as it crashed. Kip Kinkle will spend the rest of his life in prison for killing his parents, then going on a shooting rampage in Oregon where he killed 2 classmates, tried killing dozens more. The 17-year-old pleaded guilty to the 4 murder charges.
You're young, you're energetic, and you find out you have cancer. That's what Melanie Adcock faced just a few years ago, but she's fought back and now works to cut her risk of cancer coming back. In our KEYEwitness News Extra at 10, learn concrete things that you can do to cut your own risk of cancer.
Okay, good series coming up tonight at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's good. Going on all week, too. So we'll continue that.
And we hope to see you back here tonight at 10 o'clock.
You have a safe evening. We'll see you then.